Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to Worth Guitars. My name is Tony. I don't think I introduced myself to you. For those people who may be watching who hasn't seen this before, who haven't seen me before, who don't know about Worth Guitars, in case you're just tripping through YouTube and one day you're like, who is this? What is this? And you're curious. My name is Tony Whitford. I own a small guitar company called Worth Guitars in Norfolk, Virginia. And we're building guitars and having a good time doing it. Got a bunch of guitars in line to be built. We got one coming up for Rod Watson, who plays for a great local band, Kickback. Nice bass. But I got to get these done first. Got this style being built right now. One of these. And we're going to be working on the neck for that today. I'm also going to be making a clamp caul so that we can glue the fretboard with the frets in it down more efficiently. I've done it a number of different ways, and this kind of came to me an idea that I could make a clamp caul with the fret slots cut in it so that it would fit over top of the frets and press down on the fretboard itself, with a 12-inch radius giving me a nice, even, tight clamping system. So I'm going to be working on that today as well. I'm going to be working on these neck joints for these guitars. I have one almost done. This one needs some work. I'll show you that, show you how I do those angles on that. Let's see what else. That's about it for today. I think I'm going to work on trying to get these guitars done. We're getting real close to getting done on these. We've got some fret work to do, some fretboards to make, I should say, and then some fret work, a little bit of inlay. Then we can put these guitars together and we can begin the finishing process. I'll tell you what, hang on one second. I'm going to go grab another guitar and show that to you, show you where we're at on it. Hold tight. So this is one we're working on now. This has its last coats of nitrocellulose on it. That's our logo, Worth Guitar, my headstock. We do these volutes on our guitars. I have two friends of mine that help me out, work with me. Steve Stevens and Steve Weaver. We like the name Steve around here. But this is Claro Walnut. Now this still needs to be wet sanded one more time. It's been wet sanded once and it's almost there. So we just need to take off the little bit of grain. Got some dust on it. You walk into the shop, you get dust. There's a little bit of grain in the finish. See that? Well, we'll wet sand that out with some 1000 grit sandpaper. It's probably all it's going to take. A little 1000 grit, buff that down, go up to 1200 probably. We'll take it to the buffer. I got some parts from good old mail service today that I've been waiting on for this guitar, and we'll get this one done also. But we won't work on this one today because we have other guitars we got to do. This is kind of work in between guitar. So we try to do 2, 3, even 4 builds at a time to keep them going through the shop, and so that's where we're at. All right, so I'm going to get to work. You guys hang with us and we'll get it done. All right. Dust collection running, so it's hard to hear. Over there on the CNC, I was completely out of the camera there. Amateur photographer. Alright, so over there on the CNC, I'm making some clamp cauls, gluing down fretboards. Hold on a second. See that profile on the end there? Oh yeah, there you go. That's a 12-inch radius. And nice and long 12-inch radius all the way across there. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to put the fret slots across here. All the way across. That way it can sit over top of the frets and will be pushing down just on the wood when I clamp this down on the front, on the neck itself. When I clamp the fretboard, or fingerboard, some people call it fingerboard, down on the neck itself. I'm working on these two guitars. I've got the binding on them. Unfortunately, I made a little bit of a mistake on this one. In that you see I glued that binding on before I had the neck fitted properly. I got ahead of myself. I got into binding mode. Put all the binding on. Now I got to take these two pieces of binding back off. Fit the neck to the action. I mean, fit the guitar to the neck. You know, that little bit that's sticking up right there. You know, I got to get rid of that so it's a nice smooth transition there. I got the binding on. Binding hooked up. This is a pretty cool piece. I had this one piece of maple that was about 8 feet long. And it's just wide enough to do a guitar with. It's just kind of cool to do one piece. You can see the whole match. So that's kind of cool. I'm using Vectric software to write the tool paths for the CNC. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but after you start getting into it, you start understanding what it requires of you, and you can kind of start to get it a little quicker. I have a little bit of AutoCAD experience, so it was easier for me to kind of melt into that. But what I really like, of course I like all of it, because it does amazing things like making those clamping calls and forms and jigs and everything a lot easier, because I can go do something else while it's doing that. But it also gives you these great summaries of your tool paths, so you don't forget them. Because I don't have a computer hooked up to it, I just use a flash drive. When you look in your flash drive, when you stick it in your MMG file, which is a tool path, all you have are these little short 6-letter codes. You see what I mean? Like right there where it says FRE cut, that's fret cut. Well, you got to remember all of that. And after you know, 4 or 5 months goes by, you stick that disc back in there, you don't really remember what the heck is FRECUT. Some of them are even more vague than that. So this is great. Summaries. And I can print these out, and I can leave them in the shop, and I can pick them up and I can go, okay, I know where I'm at now, I know what I'm doing, I know what size the board is, I know what side of the board, what corner of the board my origin is, and all of that type of stuff. So that's a cool Vectric software. And I'm using Rhino to draw with. This is the binding for this quilted top. And the neck is almost ready for this. We're getting ready to start working on the fretboards. The machine over there is helping me a lot with that as well. See these little wood dowels I got in here. So I used the CNC to cut the truss rod in there, which I did before with a jig and a router, so it's basically the same thing. It's just that machine doing it instead of me. And it puts these great register pinholes in there, which I can put on the back of the fretboard. So when I put the fretboard back on here, it just drops right into place. There's no shifting around when I glue it. And these are wood, these little dowels. Just bought some 1/4-inch hole. I bought some 1/4-inch dowel at the hardware store, the local hardware store down the road. I just cut off just enough to stick up to where the fretboard catches it. Glue those in, and everything's good to go there. So that's where we're at. That's what we're doing today. I'll come back in a little while, and I'll show you what the fret cut profile looks like, and what I'm doing here to make my clamping. Alright? So hang tight, we'll be right back. Put that set up. this thing. Look it over here and get set up and work on this neck. What happens is I find myself standing here watching this instead of going and doing something else like you're supposed to. You gotta go do that. Moving on to something else here. So I have a neck joint like this. It's straight, and I need a 5-degree angle on it. I need for it to look like this. Excuse me. Of course, this is going to be shaved off, so it won't come quite to a point like that. It's all going to be, excuse me, carved into the back of the neck, back of that guitar. So what I do is I use this little fixture that I made that will hold it at exactly the right angle, and I can take this saw, hold on, I can take this saw, this great old back saw. I love this tool. I've had this tool a long time. Made in England. It is a W. Tyzack and Sons back saw, number 120, made in Sheffield out of silver steel, tested for hardness. All right, so I use this, and I'll show you how it works. Hold on a second. See that? That's tilted forward, right? Let me get you a picture of the rest of it. Hold on. Hang on, I gotta find you in here. It's difficult to do all this at the same time. So, that's the fixture. This clamp holds it in place, and these two nut bolts with these rubber feet on them keep it centered up. And it just screws right to the edge of the bench. Right? So in order to use it, what you do is I can lay this blade right straight down onto this fixture here, and it will cut this angle exactly 5 degrees. All I have to do is hold it flat to this surface, and I can get that 5-degree angle on it. I can get up real close to where I want it to be, and then I stop and just use a chisel to get it in further. I'll do this side so you can see it. I got movement. My shop is small, so I have to move something before I move something. So we just hold this flat. This side's a little more awkward for me because I gotta do it left-handed. The trick is to just hold it flat to this fixture. Flat to this surface. Just like that. That allows it to cut accurately at that angle. And I just use shims like this inside there. This is a 2.3 angle. In here, whenever I have to use a neck, when I have to do a neck joint like this, you know, you don't always have to do a neck joint like this. So if you're doing something with a carved top on it, with, you know, an LP style bridge, tune-o-matic bridge, that type of thing, you got to have the neck break angle. And this is how I get it in there. And of course, you can use this surface itself to hold it flat against that, just to knock off that little corner there. So I just use my thumb to hold me like that. Only problem is, in this particular situation, my tenon sticks up to the point where you see it hits. So I can only just get started, but that gives me a place where my chisels will start anyway, so that's okay. Now, in the future, I plan on buying a Japanese saw that doesn't have a spine on it. That part, it's just flat, so I can get right in there a little closer. But I don't mind coming in with the chisel and knocking that off anyway, because that's fun. And then here, a couple little taps, all it needs. Again, using the tenon itself to hold me straight. Yeah. And I can just come in and work that off. And also come in from this, again, using this surface to hold me flat. Just a couple little taps is all it needs. And we'll just come back and clean that up with the chisel a little at a time. I'll try to take it all off at once. So a little at a time is all you gotta do. Like this. And now I have a very nice 5-degree angle on there. You know, I gotta get the right tool for the job. This is not the right tool to hit a chisel with. This is the right tool to hit a chisel with. You don't want to damage your nice boxwood handle hitting it with steel. I just grab the first thing handy, and that's a bad habit to get into. Try to do things the right way. On that joint. Cut those shoulders, got that angle in there. And working on getting it to fit now. Still a little ways to go. We're going to work on this for a while. Get this neck right. And then I'm going to call it a day. Alright? So, thanks for stopping in the shop. I got a bit there because my camera's falling. Because I'm not much of a cameraman. I do a lot of this with an iPad and phone. Works pretty good. I've tried different things, but it helps to be able to see what I'm doing and be able to focus on it. It's a strange thing to try to film something with a camera that you can't see what it's looking at, because I'm so used to doing this now. Hold on a second. Okay, that's better. I'll have to bend it over. So, and I got the overhead on, makes it a little noisy. Need to get a microphone, wear it. So we're working on getting better video quality, but you know, you get the idea of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And this guitar is coming along nicely. We'll get this neck joint fit tight here. We got that on over there, good to go. We're doing 2 at a time here. When I build a guitar for the first time, this is a new style, got a carved belly on it and everything. I usually do 2, because one of them is to kind of use for tooling and to see how things work, and then I build the customers at the same time. Plus, it's just as easy to do 2 things as it is to do 1 when it comes to machining and things like that. So, hold on one second, one more second. So I sprayed a little finish on these. Got to get a couple more coats on it. That'll keep these stable and straight, and it'll allow me to wax this surface. And I know glue will stick, just in case you get a little squeeze out on it or something. Or you got glue on your fingers, you don't want this sticking to your fretboard. So, this turned out good, I'm happy with that. Kind of had an epiphany the other night and said, why don't I make some calls for clamping down? I've been doing it different ways for a few years. I'll show you what I did before. And this works fine. What I did was I just cut angles on the ends. And I put this packing foam stuff. You can see the frets are on there. But now I have the capability of making things that I didn't before. Well, this worked great, and I built quite a few guitars using this system. But I always want to try to be better, to do more, make things more efficient. That's really the whole key to trying to be better at what you do, is to try to do each thing that you do better. So that's what we're working on right now, trying to make this system better. We just about got it. I also use, so I went from this, gonna do this now, right? So now I'll have a perfectly even surface for the 12-inch radius, 25.5-inch scale fretboards. I'll have to do another one for different radiuses and different scales. But these guitars are both 25.5-inch scale, 24 fret guitars. I've also used, this is a system made by LMI, and it works good. You see it has 12-inch radius on these pieces. And so each one of these sits down on the fretboard, and you have a nice heavy-duty aluminum caul on top. So this works also as good, but not as good as having a complete covered system. And so yeah, that's where we're at. I'm gonna get back to work on this guitar. Thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe, and tell your friends, and hit the subscribe button, a little bell if it's on there, and you know, stop back by again. All right, it was good talking to you, good hanging out with you. We'll see you out there somewhere. Be sure to support your locals. Buy American when you can, and we'll see you out there somewhere. Be good to each other out there, all right? Peace.